early lunch would be the moment that would change my entire life. That day, because my morning meeting was canceled, I left the office earlier than usual. On my way home, I smiled to myself, thinking I would surprise Vanessa, my wife, by buying some snacks as a little midweek treat. 3 years of marriage, and I always tried to be thoughtful, even though there were times when I felt like I was carrying too much on my shoulders. But when the door opened, the first thing I heard wasn't the usual greeting, but a whisper coming from the kitchen. I was about to speak, but Vanessa's voice stopped me in my tracks. I only see him as a temporary husband. Once I'm financially stable, I'll say bye to lighten the load. My mother-in-law, Fiona's cold laughter echoed, "Let him pay for everything first. When a man is in love, he's blind." I froze, my hand tightening around the bag of snacks. It felt like someone had stabbed me right in the chest. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I would build a life with, was now planning when to get rid of me to ease her burden. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. Instead, I turned back toward the door, gently closed it, and then pretended I had just arrived. I called out loudly, "I'm home! I got your favorite mochi!" Vanessa came out, smiling brightly as if nothing had ever happened in the kitchen. I smiled back. But inside, I was as cold as ice. And that was the moment I began the game. The game of a man who had been seen as just a temporary husband. I started to observe. The details I had overlooked before now became painfully clear. Vanessa often whispered on the phone with her mom. She always hid her phone when I entered the room. She begged me to co-sign a $5,000 loan for some vague online startup without providing any concrete plan. She insisted that I pay for her mom's travel expenses every time they went on a trip together, which often totaled over $1,000. I began collecting evidence, from the unreasonable charges on the credit card statement to the suspicious conversations I secretly recorded, all within the bounds of the law. I opened a new bank account, gradually withdrawing our shared savings without her noticing. I moved all important assets to a safe place and shared the passwords with my best friend, Charles, who's a lawyer. One evening, she suggested adding her name to my personal investment account. I nodded, smiling gently. "Of course. Next week, let's go to the bank together." She hugged me, overjoyed as if she had just signed a lottery-winning contract. But in reality, that was the moment I laid the first brick of the plan to flip the woman who saw me as a means to an end. For the next month, I lived two lives. One as the perfect husband, with breakfast in bed and gentle encouragements, and the other as a man quietly preparing each step to retreat. Not in a state of defeat, but with control. Vanessa had no idea. To her, I was still the clueless husband who never suspects a thing. But the truth was, I knew everything. And I wasn't the same husband I was yesterday. From the fateful afternoon I overheard the whispering between my wife and mother-in-law in the kitchen, my life took a turn. No more carefree days. Now every morning I woke up, I didn't look at Vanessa with loving eyes. I looked at her with the eyes of someone gathering evidence for the real-life trial. And I had to admit, I had never played the perfect husband role so well. Vanessa had no idea that every word she said was now being recorded. I had downloaded a voice recording app, simple, legal, and in line with state law, which permits one-party consent. Whenever she called her mom or gossiped with friends about her financial independence plan, I would quietly press the record button in my pocket. She thought she was the director, but the truth was, I was the one writing the script. I began investing in Vanessa's business dream. It was the perfect bait. I offered to help her start an online store selling fashion accessories. All the money I gave came with legal documents prepared carefully by my friend Charles, a sharp lawyer. It clearly stated that this was a conditional investment, not a marital asset. Vanessa didn't read it closely as usual. She signed, smiling brightly, unaware that she had just signed an acknowledgement of debt and forfeited all future rights to our shared assets. Fiona, my mother-in-law, wasn't far behind. After a few glasses of wine, she let it slip to Vanessa. "Remember, you need to make sure it's all in his name. Just be sweet for a little longer." Her voice echoed in the recording I saved in my pawn pieces folder. Though I once loved Vanessa with all my heart, now, my heart had frozen over. Some nights I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, hearing her gentle breath beside me, and wonder, did she ever truly love me, even for one day? Then I remembered that line, "He's just a temporary husband," and the fire inside me reignited. I didn't get angry, I didn't smash things, I just took action. I planned a special dinner, a place Vanessa had always dreamed of going, an upscale French restaurant famous for its foie gras and vintage wine. I made the reservation, prepared the gifts, and told Vanessa to invite her mother too. Because Mom's always been your biggest supporter. They had no suspicions. They showed up glowing, wearing lipstick, dresses, and eyes full of triumph. But I had prepared something even more special than the dinner. I had set up a script, a twist, where the two women, thinking they were playing chess, would get checkmated right at the dinner table. I never thought I'd be the kind of man who'd sit in a car for an hour just to calm down before going inside. But that was me that night. Vanessa had just sent a message. Everyone's here already. I'm about to open the wine. Her birthday party, an evening filled with candles, a custom-made cake, and all the friends gathered around. I had paid for everything. Even though I knew the truth behind every smile, every sweet thank you was a lie, I still nodded, still played the role of the perfect husband, because tonight, everything would end. I walked into the house with a perfect smile, handing Vanessa the big bouquet of flowers I had bought on my way home, followed by a gentle hug in front of everyone. "Happy birthday, my love," I said, and saw the victorious gleam in her eyes. Vanessa thought she had everything under control. She had no idea that from the moment I walked into the kitchen last week and heard her tell her mom I was just a temporary husband, everything had turned around. The entire evening I played the devoted man, pouring wine, making small talk, telling funny stories. Fiona, her mother, laughed as though I were the son-in-law she had always dreamed of. When both of them went into the bedroom to change for the after-party, I went to the office where I had everything prepared. A printed copy of the bank statements with the secret transactions, screenshots of text messages between Vanessa and her lover, Vincent, the man I knew better than she thought, and a 7-minute audio recording I had carefully edited, capturing Vanessa telling Fiona, "In just a few months, once the boutique goes public, I'll leave him. He's got nothing attractive besides his savings account and his naive trust." I put everything into a black envelope, marked it for everyone, and placed it on the dinner table, right in the middle of the French wine bottle she loved most. When Vanessa and Fiona returned, dressed in tight dresses and sweet wood-scented perfume, I stood up and raised my glass. "Happy birthday to my wife, the woman I once trusted more than anyone." A round of applause followed. Vanessa beamed. I handed her the envelope and said, "And this is your final gift." That night I left the house I once shared with Vanessa. I didn't leave anything behind except for the divorce papers that were already prepared, and the recordings that were sent to my lawyer, the court, and close friends. Within 48 hours, the joint accounts were frozen, and all the money was traced. Vanessa had signed documents acknowledging that the money she received was not hers, which meant she could no longer claim any of the assets. Her mother, Fiona, had the bank seize the debt from the credit card Vanessa secretly used to shop under the guise of helping her mom. Vincent? He pulled out of the whole act after that fateful evening, cutting off contact, deleting his social media, and rumors spread that he withdrew his job transfer request because he was too hurt from being deceived. What about Vanessa? She posted a long message on Instagram. "Strong women sometimes get hurt, but we get up and move forward." But the comments below didn't go as she expected, because I reposted the recordings. On social media. Publicly, clearly, no explanations needed. I didn't win because of a dramatic revenge. I won because I knew when to stop. I didn't destroy them. They did that to themselves. There's a strange feeling when you live among a crowd and no one knows that you're actually preparing to disappear. I had become that man, quiet, polite, and extremely sharp with every move. In Vanessa's eyes, I was still the devoted husband, getting ready for the vacation she was eagerly anticipating. In reality, I was slowly dismantling this marriage piece by piece like a watchmaker, slowly, precisely, and not missing a single screw. I moved into a new apartment where there was no sign of a fake Prada bag, lies, or hollow kisses. On my phone screen, there were 36 missed calls, from Vanessa, from Fiona, from an unknown number, probably Vincent, Vanessa's secret lover, to whom I had sent copies of all the sweet messages between him and the perfect woman. I turned off my phone, poured myself a glass of whiskey, sat down on the couch, took a deep breath. I was no longer the temporary husband. I was just me, the man who knew he deserved something better. Not everyone who leaves is a loser, and not everyone who stays gets to keep everything. Vanessa once thought I was just a stepping stone, a living ATM. But she was wrong. Wrong to think that kindness was stupidity. Wrong to think love was weakness. I didn't seek revenge to make anyone suffer. I just wanted justice, for myself. If this story captivated you and you want to follow the journey of the husband once seen as temporary, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like and share the video and leave a comment. I'll see you in the next part. Thanks for listening to my story.